to prepare for the 11 plus exam in the last 5 months, especially for the grammar schools, because as everyone is aware that grammar school exams are starting in the month of September. And many parents, they are sending us a lot of chat messages as well as the emails. And the biggest problem with the parent is to how to prepare or how to nail the exam in the last 5 months, because it's starting in the month of September. So in today's webinar, our entire focus is on to go through the key strategies. What are the key strategies the parents can use? We are also going to share with you the planners and also the exam resources. So what are the best exam resources which you can utilize for the remaining months? And for the expert guidance in today's webinar, my name is Preeti, and I'm looking into the maths department for PiAcademy, and my colleague Louis. Hi, Louis. Welcome on today's webinar. She is typically looking at 11 plus English. She is our 11 plus English tutor, and she's going to give you a complete guidance about 11 plus English. Coming to Louis' background, Louis has written a lot of papers for PiAcademy on our website. And the speciality of her is she has developed lots of video courses on 11 plus comprehensions as well as on the 11 plus creative writings. She has more than 8 years of experience in tutoring and preparing the students for the 11 plus exam. So the way we are going to have this webinar today, we will go through our PowerPoint presentations talking about the exam styles and what sort of resources and what sort of strategies you can use. And once this session is over, once our PowerPoint is over, then the parents can drop their questions on our Zoom chat, and we will start addressing those questions in the last 15 minutes of this session. So I would like to welcome Louise now. She will start going through 11 plus exam English preparation, and then I will take over for the maths. So here you go, Louise.
Great. Thank you, Preeti. I'm just going to switch over my screen share here. Yes. So hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Lois. I am an 11 plus English tutor with PiAcademy. So what I'm going to be doing is just talking through the English aspect of the 11 plus. And if there are any questions about any of those elements, creative writing, reading, vocabulary, please do ask in the chat and I will try my best to answer them later. Today, we're going to be talking about, these are our sort of objectives for today. We're going to be talking about the 11 plus exam, the core subjects, the key exam boards, which exam boards you have, what to expect, the different exam boards, how to assess your child's readiness, and how to identify any mistakes that you might be making with your preparation. And then we'll go through the 5-month planner at the end. So that's the plan for today. Now, first of all, what is the 11 plus exam? So as I'm sure most of you will know, the 11 plus exam is used by both grammar and independent schools throughout the UK. So it's a very commonly used exam. You can see there that the dates are slightly different for grammar school and independent. For grammar schools, it is September, so it's approaching in 5 months. Independent school is not until January. So yeah, as of Feb, there's 5 months left for the 11 plus exam. So we've got to make sure that at this point, you're really aware of what you are doing. And you know exactly what each part of your preparation, it should all be organized and it should be intentional. Okay, so the 11 plus exam usually contains these 4 elements. Now, this is worth checking whether or not the school that you're going for is going to include those elements because there is some variation, but most schools will include English, maths, verbal reasoning, and non-verbal reasoning. And we're focusing primarily on English and maths today. We do suggest that you check your school's website because they can change their plans, they can assess different subjects. So make sure that you're aware exactly what your child will be studying because the exam board will be different, the format will be different, the subject may be different. This is something to check closer to the time of doing the exam. It's not a priority right now, but it's something to make sure that you're aware of because the key thing is getting the curriculum solid at this point. So there are 4 main exam boards that I used for the 11 plus. As you can see there, by far the most common one is GL, Granada Learning, which has the 94 schools that use it. Under that is CEM, which is the Centre for Evaluation and Monitoring. And then you have 2 slightly smaller boards, the CSSE and SET tests. So they're quite, there's less schools that use them, but worth checking if your particular school will be using them because the format of the exam is a little bit different. Now, going to quickly take you through some of the styles of paper for each exam board. This is more just for guidance rather than to, provoke any worries, because as I said before, the style of the exam is kind of, the secondary element of preparation. Main preparation is the curriculum, which is going to be the same across the board. This is just for your information so you can see the kind of style of questions that you have across the different exam boards. So this is particularly for English, slightly different from maths. I'll just talk through how it works for English. You can see that there's quite a bit of variation in terms of the styles of questions that students get and the sections of each test. So for GL, it is all multiple choice, always, with 1 correct option. You will have a comprehension section followed by spelling, punctuation, and grammar sections. So that is always the way that they lay it out. CEM is often much harder to predict. It's a lot more random because they have different selections of question types that they will use. Typically, you'll have some multiple choice comprehension. You'll also have some filling in the blank. There'll be vocabulary questions, other styles of questions, but generally, if you get the curriculum solid, you'll be fine. But the comprehension section is followed by a verbal reasoning section. And there is a little bit more variety with CEM. SET is also multiple choice, but it's slightly different in that there is not always 1 option. There's often more than 1, and there are some questions where you don't know how many answers you need to give. So it's worth, if you are doing that one, knowing that that's the style of exam. They also contain a spelling section at the start, and there will be more than 1 comprehension text for SET. There are 2 texts and an aspect. The last section in the exam involves some comparing text as well. So yeah, same skills, but different format. And then finally for CSSE, this is the one that is a little bit more descriptive in that you have to often write full answers out rather than just circling a multiple choice question or filling in a multiple choice options sheet. There are often some tick the box answers as well. And then you'll also have an applied reasoning, which is quite different to the verbal reasoning, similar, but a little different. So that's what the different exam boards look like. I will just very quickly show you some of our sample papers for each one, so you can get a sense of what they might look like. So just bear with me. Okay, so here we are. This is what the GL paper will look like. And as you can see, it is well, here we have 4 sections: reading comprehension followed by spelling, capital letters and punctuation, and then grammar exercises. So they are it's pretty straightforward. You'll have a passage to read, whether it's fiction, non-fiction, sometimes poetry, and then you will have different multiple choice questions to answer. I'll just quickly show you what the other questions tend to look like. It's this sort of thing. It's more multiple choice where you're having to identify where a mistake is. It's knowledge of grammar, knowledge of punctuation, spelling. CEM, slightly different. This one in particular, as I said before, it is more varied, but this is what it could look like. Starts with comprehension, then we've got a vocabulary section and a close section where you have to fill in the blank. So fairly similar really to the GL in terms of its multiple choice, but you'll get your passage and then you'll have your comprehension section. For this one, CEM typically has 4 options, whereas GL has 5. So there is some variation, but again, nothing to really get too worried about. It's just the format of the paper. And then you'll have some often vocabulary questions for CEM, plus a bit of close, which is finding the best word to complete a sentence. Then I'll just quickly show you SET. So as I said before, SET involves a spelling section plus 2 comprehension texts. Typically, the comprehension texts will have something in common because then you'll have a section at the end where you have to compare the two. So you have one passage here, comprehension text 1, then some questions about that first text, followed by a shorter text. Comprehension text 2 is typically much shorter, and then some questions on that one. And then the last section will compare the 2 passages together. So a little bit of a different style to GL and CEM in terms of what you're required to do. And then finally, CSSE, as we said, it involves that passage at the start, and then your questions will typically look something like this. So there's some tick the box questions, there's some writing down full sentences, writing down one word, a little bit more descriptive in what you're expected to do. And then there is the applied reasoning section at the end, which involves some sort of spelling, words, and it's sort of the typical verbal reasoning type questions with rearranging letters and that kind of thing. So let me go back to the other slides. That is essentially what the exam boards look like. As you can see, there is some variation, but the one thing I want to stress, and we'll stress this, I'm sure, throughout, I'm sure Preeti will stress this as well, is that this is just the format. If you have your skills, if you have your comprehension, your vocabulary, your grammar skills solid, it will not affect your ability to do these tests. They are all just different ways of asking essentially the same questions. So I think that's my section complete for today. So I'll pass back over to Preeti. And if there are any more English-related questions, do please put them in chat and I'll ask them later.
Yeah, thank you very much, Louise. Thanks for that highly informative information about the boards. And now I will start taking out with this 11 plus maths exam board. So as Louis said, it's exactly the same what is being showed onto our slide. So as you can see here, there is a GL MCQ style of question. So the same philosophy applies for the maths as well. So GL paper is always a MCQ multiple choice question paper, no matter whether it is maths or English. CEM is again, some part of the CEM in the maths is open-ended. In fact, both parts are open-ended, but the difference is part A, which is a quick maths, and part B, which is a long maths. So in quick maths, there is there are the short questions which the child need to attempt in a given time. Say, for example, in 15 minutes, they need to attempt it like 15, 17 questions. So we can have a look here on the CEM paper. As you can see in the instruction itself, there is part A, which is made up of quick maths 1 and quick maths 2, and part B is long maths. So let's have a look at quick maths 1 and quick maths 2. Once you start with the section, you need to make sure that your child reads the instructions, because that's where most of the children, they take it granted that they know everything, and then they are reluctant to read the instructions. But this is a very, very important when you are tutoring your child at home, or even if your tutor is tutoring your child, please emphasize on reading the instructions, reading the example questions, because that will make sure that the child understood how the format of the answer need to be written. So whether it is a cross through the multiple choice or whether they need to circle the multiple choice, it all depends, and it is very well written in the instruction part. So moving on. So as you can see, there are the instruction section. There are nice examples given. Also, the answers are written very, very clearly. And then here is actually quick math section 1 starts. As you can see, there are 6 minutes and there are 10 questions. So this is a point where the child need to understand how much time they can spend on each question. So time management plays a vital role when it comes to the CEM styles of questions, because the time constraint is quite high, and the CEM is always a tricky part of the exam because they always give less time and there are many questions to attempt. So the same thing applies to the quick maths 2, the second part. I won't go with that. Let's move on directly to the long maths. Yeah, so this is all quick maths too. So the long maths in the CEM is slightly tricky because, as you can see, there are 15 minutes and 21 questions. It's not just like that, but if under one question there are four sub questions. So let's say if the child, and there is a connectivity of the answers between the first and the second, or maybe second and the third, or maybe from third to fourth. So if one question is if your child answers one question wrong, that might affect the subsequent question. So when you are practicing the CEM styles of questions from our website or from any other resources, make sure that the speed and accuracy both are managed well by the child. So this is how you need to train your child, because accuracy is very important. If your child answers one question wrong, that might affect the further questions and so on, and then in that case the child can lose the full marks given for this particular question. So this is all pretty much about the CEM. I think I haven't went to the GL because GL is very straightforward, but I will just quickly show you the paper. As you can see, 50 minutes, 50 questions. The choice of the answer is again multiple choice, no negative marking. It's pretty straightforward question paper. Here, only thing is, when you are practicing the GL style of question papers with your child, many parents, they complain about the time management, and that's the biggest problem, and that is what you exactly going to nail in the next 5 months. I will go through that very quickly in my subsequent slides, but the point here is the child need to manage the time effectively. The child need to understand that even though there are 50 minutes, try to finish the paper in 40 minutes and keep 10 minutes for the difficult questions to go back and write their answers, or maybe last 10 minutes to check their paper. So this is a format of the GL paper. As you can see, there are 5 multiple choices, A, B, C, D, E, and the answer sheet is given separately. The child need to bubble. There is a bubble chart kind of answer sheet. So make sure your child answers those options very, very correctly. Yeah, so that's pretty much about GL. We spoke about CEM, and now the next format is SET. I don't think I need to go through the SET because SET is more or less similar with the GL. In fact, it's exactly similar. So let's talk a little bit more about CSSE. This is slightly different format where child is supposed to show their workout and write the answers. So let's have a look at the CSSE style of paper. You can check the timing on the instruction page of the paper, and as you can see, 60 minutes, and there are the 60 marks for this paper. Let's move on. As I said, you see there is a proper space given to write the workout, to do the workout, in fact, and then there is a space provided for writing the answers. And this is how the question paper follows. So you can see there are sub questions within a question. Sometimes they give sub questions, sometimes it's just a single question. So it's not difficult format of the paper. It's just like the child should get used to do the workout in the space provided. So this is where, as a parent, you need to make sure your child's handwriting is legible. So for example, even if the final answer is wrong, but the workout is done properly and it's a silly mistake, the child can still get points for showing the workout. But that's not the case in the GL. So in GL, either your answer is right or wrong. So those are the differences between the different styles of 11 plus exam as when it comes to the maths. Yeah, so we will move on to the next slide now. So this is the question which is being asked by the most of the parent, because when actually the exam is approaching, especially in the last 5 months, you must assess your child. So you would not get last minute surprise, So that's why the common question is asked by the parent, and that is, how can I assess my child's current ability? So it's very simple. You can assess your child's ability at home, or you can take a professional advice like companies like us who are also taking the diagnostic assessment. It's a charged the assessment is charged. And if you decide I want to test my child myself, that option is also available, and I will go through these points. So how you can assess your child? So you can take a full length paper under the timed conditions, and the papers are freely available on our website. You can download the paper, you can print it, and you can give it to your child under the timed condition. Then separating the questions and subsections, sub questions skill wise for English paper, followed by the prepare an assessment report, and check which topics the child is struggling with. So this is where our service comes in picture. There are two ways, where you can take our paper in a downloadable format, assess your child, mark the paper, because the answers are given on our website. When you're coming to us to do your child's assessment, then this is what we do at our end. We make we write the assessment report based on your child's inputs during the assessment session. And these assessment session, they takes place on the Zoom. Our tutors, they share the screen, they show the sample paper to the child, and the child is attempting the questions. When the child is attempting the questions, our tutor records the responses, and as you can see in this assessment report, we populate the topic name, the marks achieved, the marks lost. So it's really very, very well documented. We also record the partially wrong questions and the completely wrong questions. And then finally, we will give you the report which will have a percentage. So you will see exactly how much percentage your child is scoring. Not only that, we write a very, very detailed feedback about each topic, highlighting what the mistakes are done by the student, and also our expertise, in providing you the guidance that how you can rectify those mistakes. Along with that, we also give you the recommendations, like based on the wrong questions, what are the further resources you can use it, and you can make sure those weak areas been addressed. So this comes under the PiAcademy's diagnostic assessment package. If you want us to assess your child, that option is also possible. And here you will get the English assessment report in this format as well. So you see there is a proper question number written, marks obtained, how much marks the child had scored, the English tutor's comment, and what should be the ideal model answer. Once we have done that, likewise we did in maths, we make a feedback for your child, like what type of questions the child answered wrongly. And I will show you the feedback report for English as well. So we shall scroll down a bit. Yeah. So here we go. So we document all the feedback comments here, mistakes by the student and how to improve. Most of the student, they make mistakes when it comes to the inference style of question. Luis will give more idea about it later, but we document those mistakes in our assessment report. And what is the final outcome is the percentage. Again, as I said, in the maths, we highlight how much percentage your child has scored, and we do the same in English. When it comes to the creative writing, we give a short story to write to your child during the assessment session, and we mark your child's creative writing part on the basis of how the child has done the plan, beginning, middle, and end, what type of vocabulary the child has used, high level of punctuations, and whether the child has followed the structure, there is a proper ending to the story, etc. And again, you will get a feedback report, a very, very clean feedback about your child's creative writing skills. And we will also recommend you what sort of practice papers you can use to improve the child's creative writing. Not just that, but in creative writing part, the tutor will also recommend what are the books your child can read to improve their vocabulary. So we will give you a complete list of the books the child can read for improving their vocabulary. So this is all about our diagnostic assessment. And as I said, you can do this assessment on your own as well. So we will go back to our presentation. So here you go. how I can assess my child's current ability. There is one more thing on our website. We do have the free diagnostic assessment, which is really very informative and useful assessment, which you can take it very, very freely through our website. Only thing is that there is no human intervention, like we do it in our diagnostic assessment, which I just now told you. In this free diagnostic assessment, you can start a text at any time whenever you wish, and you will get an instant report and also the leaderboard, how other kids are performing. You can take this assessment. We are going to send you the link of taking this free diagnostic assessment through our email. So in order to consolidate what we just now spoke about, the diagnostic assessment, there are three ways which you can do the diagnostic assessment. One, you can do the diagnostic assessment by yourself by using our sample papers on the website, marking your child's paper on your own. Second, you can take a free diagnostic assessment, which is in front of you right now. And thirdly, you can take our paid diagnostic assessment, in which you will get a detailed feedback report, which I just now walk you through. So you have three options and you can choose any one which you like. Yeah. Shall we go back to the PowerPoint, Vishal? Yeah, so this is the okay. So now the question is, what are the 11 plus preparation common mistakes the parents they make? So firstly, there is no plan, and that's where our expertise comes in picture, and that's why you all joined for today's webinar. We are going to give you very consolidated plan how you can prepare your child in the last 5 months, not giving enough time and importance to the high mark topic. So this is a common mistake. Most of the parents, they don't know. They don't even know what are the high marks topics. Say, for example, algebra or a geometry, which are very, very high mark topics, and somehow they don't master those topics with their children. Not taking regular assessment to track the progress of the child. This is really very important, and especially in the month of April, you must take the assessment. You must take the assessment, in my opinion, through the professional body, who can give you the feedback reports. Solving papers too early on without considering the difficulty level of the paper. So some of the parents, they just randomly start giving the papers to their kids, but they don't know what sort of the difficulty level their child is on, or what sort of difficulty level of the paper they must give it to their child. Lack of structured tutoring with quality resources. Again, if many parents, they think that I have a tutor, and they get surprises in the last 3 months that my child is not ready. And the main reason is the tutoring is not structured. The resources which are being used for the tutoring, they might not be meant for 11 plus exam, because 11 plus exam is highly competitive exam. And in order to get the right resources for the tutoring, is very important that tutor is aware about the 11 plus exam difficulty level. Lastly, solving too many papers instead of reflecting on the previous mistakes. So many parents, they think that my child had solved 50 papers, but the question is, out of those 50 papers, if your child is scoring only 50% of the mark, it means that the child is not solving the 50% of the questions correctly. So how many parents go through those wrong questions? And that's where many parents make mistakes. They look at the quantity and not at the quality of coming out through these papers. Attempting too many mocks rather than building on weak areas. So again, it's linked to the previous point. Many parents, they think that my child is taking mock every weekend. But the question is, after they have their mock exam, how many parents, they sit with their child and make sure that whatever the questions come in the mock, they have been addressed, they have been practiced with their child. So practicing the weak areas is very, very important. So if you avoid these mistakes, I'm sure your child should definitely get a dream school, whatever he or she is wishing to apply for. Yes, so we'll move on now. So here is the strategy, and that is the whole and sole purpose of this webinar. What my suggestion to all the parents is, from now, week 1 to week 6, I would strongly suggest to do the topic-wise practice, not just the topic-wise, but focus on the difficult topics. Then from week 7 to week 15, you should start practicing the past papers under the timed conditions. Because as I mentioned earlier, Time management plays a very vital role in winning a place or scoring high marks in the 11 plus exam. So time condition is very, very important factor, solving the paper under timed condition. And then from week 16 to week 22, you have to make a balance of practicing the paper and attempting the mocks. So in my experience, many people, many parents, they do the mocks every week, which is not essential actually. You should not do more than 2 or 3 mocks. What's important is to solve the practice papers, go through the wrong questions, and attempt couple of mocks just to give your child a flavor how the real life exam will look like. But there is no need to have ample mocks to be done before the exam, because that is not a good strategy. In fact, going through the weak areas, practicing the paper, and having couple of mock exams make much more sense to me. So this finally 11 plus exam 5 months planner, I will walk you through this planner very quickly. We are going to send you this entire spreadsheet through the email, so you will get a good opportunity to go through week wise plan. This is extremely important planner. It is a time tested planner. We are using this planner more than 8 years now, so you can completely rely on this planner and follow the planner. So as you can see in this spreadsheet, we have various tabs: week 1 to week 6, then week 7 to week 15, week 16 to week 21. And in each tab, you will see we have kept a proper balance of practicing the topics as well as practicing the paper. So if you look in the first tab, which is week 1 to week 6, we keep a good balance of practicing the topic. We have also mentioned all the numbers, topics, week 1, week 2, fraction, decimal, and percentages, so on and so on. So all these links are clickable. You can land on to our web pages and you can read through our web pages, which will be very helpful for you. So say, for example, here you can see there is a fraction topic, and the link given in the spreadsheet is navigating you to our website for doing the practice questions here. So of course, you need to subscribe for that if you would like to see the answers, but you can do that subscription by the end of this webinar. So going back to our planner, the entire 5 months plan is populated here along with the practice paper questions and the recommended resources. You can take your time to explore this plan. We are going to send you in the email. This is very, very self-explanatory planner, and the numbers which you are seeing on here, these are the paper numbers from our website. I can show you quickly where you can find these papers. So say, for example, if you go to PiAcademy's website, under PiAcademy 11 plus maths past papers, if you click on 11 plus maths past papers, you will see this is a table and all these numbers are linked into our spreadsheet. And this is applied to any subscription on our website. So yeah, this is pretty much about the planner. Please do practice these planners and stick to the plan and make sure you are utilizing these last 5 months very, very efficiently, effectively, giving a very good quality to your kids. We also have additional resources, which is again a very beautiful collection of the resources. You can see here we have non-verbal, verbal, challenging maths questions, Buckinghamshire paper, Kent paper. So we have pretty much everything on the website, and this planner will navigate you to the relevant pages. Yeah, so that's it. And yeah, finally, before I start taking out the questions, reading out the questions, we do have a discount coupon code for the people who are joining this webinar. It's webinar 30. It's a 30% off. So you can utilize this coupon code to buy anything from our website today. It's valid only for 24 hours. So don't forget to apply this coupon code. So great. Thanks a lot for being with us. And I will start now taking the questions one by one from all the parents. Please drop your questions here on the chat. Does CSSE not check the grammar and SPAC, Louis? Louis, this question is for you.
Yes. Sorry, let me just reread the questions about CSSE. Yes, I saw this question. Well, they don't have a specific grammar and SPAG section in the actual layout of the test. That doesn't mean abandoned grammar and SPAG, right? Like the first section is comprehension, which is specifically kind of inference questions, vocabulary, literary devices. There's some multiple choice ones. It's like close reading, understanding what's happening in the text. Then the second section is applied reasoning, which is kind of it's like word problems and things like that. So no, it doesn't have a grammar and SPAG section, but still practice those things because they will mean you can read better. They can mean you can still write accurate answers. So I hope that answers the question. I think that would be the answer.
Great. So this is a common question many parents ask, Louis, does it include the SPAG? But the main point is it's not about having a dedicated section of SPAG in the question paper. It's overall the child must know the spellings, punctuations and grammars, regardless whether there is a section or there is no section, because that forms the basis of English. Okay, there is another question. Please, can you share the curriculum for maths and English? Sure, we will share the curriculum, but very quickly, I can also show you where you can find the curriculum. Vishal, if you can open our 11 plus maths and English past paper pages. Because it's not just the curriculum, that's where exactly all the parents must focus. It's not just the curriculum, but it's all about the topics, because curriculum is a very high level definition of the topic. But what comes in the exam, you must know what sort of exam questions are there, and that is what you can see it on our website. So if you go to our main landing page, PiAcademy.co.uk, under 11 plus papers, you will see 11 plus maths and English paper. And you can read through these links to get the idea of the curriculum. And again, not just the curriculum, because you will find the curriculum on many websites. It's freely available. But definition of the curriculum and interpreting the definition of the curriculum for the parents is very important. So when you look at this paper, you can see there are lots of papers, but along with that, we also have the topic wise questions. So topic wise questions is something where we are unlocking the curriculum. So when you start practicing these numbers, reading numbers, addition, subtraction, so whatever you see it on the right hand side of this web page is the curriculum. Because if you look at the curriculum, it will tell you numbers, add, subtract, divide, multiply. But what is within add, subtract, divide, multiply, nobody will decode it. And that's where exactly you should refer to our web pages to decode that curriculum. I think I have answered that question now. How is constraint in GL? I think we spoke about that a lot when I was opening our GL paper. The main important thing is it makes much more sense if you teach your child whenever they get any question paper. It doesn't matter whether it is GL, CEM, CSSE, independent, grammar, whatnot. Make sure that your child is habituated to read the instructions, to understand what is the timing given and how many questions the child need to solve. I think that answers all the time management questions as well. Should kids be doing maths mentally throughout the paper? No, not at all, because you cannot do the entire paper mentally. Otherwise, it could be a mental maths paper, isn't it? So the child must write down all the steps on the paper, because there are two advantages of writing the steps on the paper. Number one, the silly mistakes will be avoided. And number two, when child is writing down the steps, the child know exactly what is the format of the answer the question is asking for. So mentally, yes, if it is really too simple question, of course you can do it mentally, no need for writing it down. But most of the question in 11 plus exam, like I would say about 90% of the questions, you cannot do it mentally. The child must be habituated to write down a detailed workout, the stepwise answers, and then whatever the format the exam board is required, they can punch their answers. What is a FSCE exam board mean? I think you mean to say CSSE exam board. Looks like this is being followed in Reading Boys School. Yeah, so this is CSSE exam board. So I will send you the link of what is CSSE exam board in our chat, and you can have a look through it. So my team will send you the link what is about CSSE. Hi, grammar schools in Sutton use SET style in the exam. Yes, they are using SET style. There is a question from Dhanalakshmi. What is okay, I think it's the same question. I think I have already addressed. There is a question from SKR. Is there a negative marking in SAT English? As far as I'm aware, no. But again, I always recommend parents to check the official website of the school, because these schools keep changing the exam styles. These schools keep changing the way they mark. So it's better to refer to the official school website. If the expectation is to select 3 options, if only 2 options are correct and 1 incorrect, will mark be awarded for 2 correct options? To answer this question, I really don't know what sort of marking internally they do, and I guess nobody knows that. So best way to answer all the 3 options correctly. If there is a partial marking system they are adopting in-house, then I'm not aware about that. So honestly speaking, I don't know what they do internally. What are the high marks areas in maths, English, VR, and NVR for the GL board, please? Sure, I can walk you through the high mark areas. So if you look on the screen, on the topic wise, you can see that there are certain topics, say for example, algebra. Yeah, that is a high mark question topic. If you look at the, for example, simultaneous equation, that's the high mark topic. Quadratic equation. So anything comes under the algebra is going to be a high mark question. So likewise for the geometry, there are certain topics which are high marks topic. So apart from numbers, fraction, decimal, percentages, whatever is left out, is quite tricky and quite challenging, so those I would consider it as high mark topic. The normal topics like numbers, fractions, decimals, percentages, then again, some type of factorization, or maybe LCM and HCF as well. These are not very high mark topics. But when you look at algebra or the geometry, higher level question, or where the combination of the topics being used, say for example, combination of algebra and geometry together, those will form the high mark topics. In English, there is no topic list as such, but I guess that inference style of questions are quite high mark questions. And in VR and NVR, I wouldn't say that there are typically any high marks topics, but sometimes the nets and the cubes, which can be a quite struggling topic, and the questions are quite tricky. Or I would say the nets, that those sort of topics would be high marks topics. Again, it's very referral. Some people feel that this is a high mark and this isn't a high mark. So in VR and NVR, it's very difficult to segregate as high mark and low mark topics. But in maths and English, definitely yes. So as I said, I already listed all the high marks topics in maths and English. There is a question, I think we have captured that question. There is a question from Julia. Are there any resources you could recommend to cover understanding of algebra if the child lacks the knowledge itself from the school? Sure, yeah, this is a very good question. I can show you what resources you can use. As you can see in front of the screen, you can start buying or subscribing to our topic-wise questions, which covers loads and lots of questions on the algebra. You can see there are around 500 questions tagged under algebra. Apart from that, you can also start taking our video courses, which you can find it on our website under videos. And in videos, we have very, very nice videos on the algebra. We have segregated those videos in the basic algebra and the advanced algebra. And most of the parents, they subscribe to all our video courses, because if you look at the topics which we have covered, which are honestly speaking high marks topics. So comprehension, creative writing, advanced algebra, and basic algebra. So these are the 2 things which you can subscribe to. Apart from that, fraction word problem, it's not a tricky topic, but it's good to have a revision for worded problems, because we tag this course under the word problem, not just the numerical problem. So you can have a look on the video courses page. Ashita is asking a question. Can you share the list of the schools and associated board for that school? There are around more than 200 grammar schools in the UK, and every grammar schools has different boards. So on our website, you can have a look, go through our blog articles, and you will get that list. Right now, I do not have a very consolidated list, but yes, I mean, this is a very good question, and we can ask our team to collate the entire list for you. There is a question from SKR. Do PiAcademy provide mock exams? If so, is it remote only or both remote and classroom based? Thanks. So there are two types of the mock exams on our platform. If you look at the mock exams, then we are keeping 5 mock exams here, which are having quite nice, good difficulty level. You can see there are 3 GL mock exams and the 2 CEM mock exams. So in GL mock, we have segregated it as per the maths, English, maths and verbal, maths and non-verbal. So you can subscribe to any of this mock exam. It's a paid mock exam, but again, as I said, you can use our discount code and you can take 30% off if you want to buy any sort of resources from our website, and you can buy these mocks. The other mock exam is a guided mock exam, which we haven't launched it. We will email you as soon as we launch the guided mock exam. Oh yeah, we do have here. So you can see it's a free guided mock exam. It's a 30-minute guided mock exam. You can join our session. It's entirely free, and our tutor will take this mock exam. This mock exam is online. It will be conducted via Zoom. So we don't have any in-person mock exam. You can definitely subscribe to our guided mock session after our webinar. It's free. It's entirely free. So everybody can subscribe to our guided mock session. And paid mock exam, I just showed you. Those are the paid mock exams which are available on our website. So we are running 2 mock exam, one which is a guided and one which is a paid. There is a question from ThinkPad. Hi, will the recording of the session be available? Yes, definitely. We are sending you the recorded session in the email. But apart from that, actually, I would like to show you here our YouTube channel. I would in fact strongly suggest everybody joining this webinar should subscribe to our YouTube channel, because this is a place where we are uploading lots and lots of our YouTube videos, very helpful information, all the recordings, all the playlists. You can see it here. In case if you missed any previous webinars, those are also available here. So we are giving you the link in the Zoom chat. You can definitely come and subscribe to our channel and keep tuned. Very shortly, we are also running the live sessions on our YouTube channel. So keep a note of this and subscribe to our channel. All our webinar recordings will be posted on our YouTube channel as well. So here you see all our webinar recordings are here. So we have free 11 plus webinar, live Q&A session, 11 plus experts guidance, everything, literally all the webinars. If you have missed any, you please come and subscribe, and you can watch as per your free time. Okay, so the next question is, what text have come in the GL exam in the recent year, please? It's very specific question. I'm not sure how these questions will help your child in preparation of 11 plus exam. But to answer your question, please do not focus on any particular text, because nobody can predict what text will come in the exam. So my strong suggestion is practice as much as possible, which is available on our website, or maybe you can buy it from different website as well, but do the lot of practice. Okay, there is a question from What percentage should be child be getting now to get into the good school? So this question I will break it down into two parts. So what percentage your child should get it now? The answer is around 70 to 80%. And in order to qualify the exam for 11 plus exam, actual exam, your child should be above 90% because the competition is really tough. There is a question from Lily. How can I help my child with English comprehension? She is quite reluctant reader. Luis, I will pass on this question to you.
Yes, thank you. That's a good question. Yeah, reluctant readers, it's not easy because, of course, the enjoyment of reading is definitely going to help them want to read. I would suggest starting with finding some books that she enjoys, kind of building up the level. So you may find that she's maybe reluctant because she's reading books that she doesn't really enjoy, and to practice the reading that it's a good idea to find some books that they do like first to encourage her reading. Reading together will always really help rather than just her sort of making it into a chore so that you're just making her sit and read. If you read together, make it interactive, that can be a really good way of doing it. Also, what I often do is just break things down into short chunks. So, go paragraph at a time. Even if you just want to get her to do 5 minutes, get her to read a paragraph and answer a bunch of questions on that paragraph. So it's just small, consistent efforts, I would say. If she's a reluctant reader, break it down into smaller sections, find things that are perhaps more interesting for her to read. You can also practice like comprehension styles, I suppose, with other elements of media, such as, articles or TV shows or films, even though that's not what's going to come up in the exam, you can still encourage some of those similar skills just early on by getting them to practice answering questions about what they've watched, about what they've seen. That's still something that's going to help. So those are a few tips I would give for getting them started, but work up and gradually build up to longer texts, I would say.
And I will also add, Luis, on top of that, we do have a reading club, which is on the screen here. So the question is, many children nowadays, they are very reluctant to read. And that is the reason why they do not have high level of vocabulary to use it. And in order to make sure that the child has a consistent process of reading, we do have a reading club, which takes place twice in a week, Tuesday and Saturday. And it runs for 45 minutes. We call it as a guided reading, and we do a lot of activities in this club. We have many children who are participating in this club, and it's worth if you parents in this webinar, they can have a look at this webpage. We are sending you in the Zoom chat as well, and they can subscribe it to our reading club. It's very, very low cost, and the pricing is very, very affordable to all the parents. And if you apply the discount code, it will become really extremely affordable. My strong suggestion is to have the consistent practice of the reading. You must join this reading club. Okay, so that's that. Now, the next question is how we can practice the inference style. There is a question from Nuzhat. Is there any way to master the inference? Yes, I have just walked you through our video courses. If you go to PiAcademy under video section, you can see we have 2 courses for English, one which is comprehension and another one which is creative writing. Literally last year, like more than thousands of students, they subscribe to this course because this is a video course. And the beauty of this course is not just the recorded video. After every video lesson, you will have a lecture notes, you will have the homework, you have all the quizzes, all sort of activities are linked after every video lesson. And we have noticed that your child can have increased percentage at least by 40 to 50% after your child has taken this course, because it's not just about the video, but we are explaining the exam techniques in these videos. And most of the children, they do not score the marks in the creative writing or in the comprehension because they are not following the exam techniques. They are not following the checklist. The way the examiner expects the answer to be written, most of the children, they are not tutored or they are not trained to write those sort of answers. And all these difficulties, all these pain points of the students and the parents, we have addressed in all our video classes on our video courses. So by all means, you can take these courses. There is a question from Yusuf. Certain SET exams are two stages. First is MCQ and second is not. Is the second stage is also SET board? The second round, as far as I'm aware, until the last year, the second round is derived or designed by the school itself, and it's about the long maths and long English, and that is where exactly you can use our 11 plus maths and English past papers. Again, the best thing is to check the official website of the school to ensure that even in this year they are sticking to the same format. So I think I will spend another 4-5 minutes and then we will close. There are lots and lots of questions here, but let's start addressing a couple of more questions. How important are the non-verbal reasoning and verbal reasoning questions? It all depends upon your school. If your school is having that exam, then definitely these are important, because if your child is losing the marks in this section, there is no way that child can gain the marks in the 11 plus exam as a consolidated result. So you must follow your school's guidelines. If non-verbal reasoning is a subject, do not ignore, and definitely you have to practice the non-verbal and the verbal reasoning questions. We do have non-verbal and verbal on our website. We will send you the links here in the chat. You can have a look. Yeah, I think in the GR test, is non-verbal with maths and verbal with English or separate subject? I think verbal and non-verbal papers are always separate. Of course, there is a little overlap with the mathematical side of the verbal and English side of the verbal, but I think the paper is taken as a separate entity. You need to check again with your school. Some schools like CSSE, they combine reasoning with English. Some schools, they keep the reasoning paper separate and maths and English papers separate. So it all depends upon the schools. Do the maths questions cover year 5 curriculum only, or does it cover the questions until year 6? Honestly speaking, in 11 plus exam, we have seen there are so many questions which are beyond year 6. So you must prepare your child up to the curriculum of year 7 or year 8. What is the CSSE 11 plus? Yeah, we gave the response to that. Yeah, can you tell me how much is 11 plus tuition? So it all depends upon what packages you are looking at. I can show you quickly. Under 11 plus courses, we have very, very affordable tutoring here, which is a group tuition. So you can take an advantage of the group tuition. We very recently launched all the Easter courses. Our new courses will be launched shortly by tonight. But it's like almost about 15 pounds an hour. That is our normal tutoring charge. But of course, if you are taking a one-to-one tuition, then the charge will be quite high. You can WhatsApp us and we can derive the package for you. It all depends upon what's your requirement and what you want to achieve. For GL style MCQ question, do kids get paper? Do the same workout for the maths? Question, do kids get papers to do the sum workout for the maths? It depends upon the school. Some schools, they give rough paper to do the workout. Some schools, they don't. So you need to check the school guidance, I would suggest you. Okay. I think that's pretty much, there are lots of other questions as well. I don't think I will address all those questions here, but you can definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, and most of the questions we have already addressed in our previous webinar. You can look at the recordings on our YouTube channel, and most of the questions will be taken care in many of our webinars. I wish everybody a very, very good luck for the upcoming exams. Do register yourself for our guided mock, and as I said, for our YouTube channel, and stay tuned and have a lovely Sunday. Thank you, Louis. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.